All right, guys, welcome back. So today on Modern Masters Auto, we have a familiar looking AMG. It's the one-off matte white Edition 507 C63 Coupe. So as you remember in previous episodes, we replaced the cams, we replaced the tappets, we replaced the cam phasers, rebuilt them. And then in another episode, we pulled out the intake manifold, we cleaned that bad boy up, and we put in a new PCV valve and a catch can. But today, as I've talked about before, you guys remember that noise from the transmission? Well, it's only been like 3 or 4 months, and finally the warranty company got back to us and they approved the replacement of the wet clutch. Looks like a torque converter, but it's a wet clutch. So in today's video, we are going to replace that wet clutch, and we are going to also replace the oil cooler temp sensor. So we're gonna replace both of those, and then I'm gonna get out our Sawzall and I'm gonna cut that wet clutch open so we can see what it looks like inside of it and how it failed. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, let's see what all we have from the dealer. They taped it up real good. And luckily, Anthony works at the dealer, so he was able to hand deliver this, so we didn't have to ship any of it. How cool was that? All right, looks like first things first, we have our brand new oil temperature sensor, and there is the part number. We'll set that in our not a cake pan. All right, looks like Anthony is throwing in some additional things that the warranty company didn't bring up. So he's trying to get one over on me and get some stuff installed. While you're in there, the old legit street curse, while you're in there, so we got a new idler pulley. There is the part number. And looks like we got another idler pulley, the smaller smooth one. There's the part number. An OEM serpentine belt. There is the part number. And here is what we are waiting for. What could be in this? Let's see what they label it as. It looks like they call it Start Off Clutch Wet. Let's take a look at how they package it. Now this is remanufactured. Apparently they do not have any new ones remaining, so they are taking cores in to rebuild these. So this is packaged pretty nice. Oh, and she weighs a ton. This thing has got some balls. I'm interested to see if you can see the seam on it where they welded it back together. Yes, you can. Okay, cool. So on Anthony's, once we get it out, I'm gonna grind this seam away so I can split the two and we can take a look at what failed inside and just how it works, because I don't understand the difference between the torque converter and wet clutch. Rusty said some automotive lingo I didn't understand. Didn't care. I'm gonna cut it open. I'm gonna find out how it works. So we're gonna put this bad boy new one in there, and hopefully that noise and the shuddering goes away. All right, guys, so beyond what we're doing today, I wanna show you guys this. Anthony is in dire need of a new passenger front Edition 507 black wheel with the double lip. So if you guys know where I can get one of these to help him out, he bought the car like this. He's not happy with it. We don't think any wheel repair place can really repair it with the double lip, but if you guys have any leads on that, please leave a comment. And then I forgot, this has that cool double H pipe EISENMANN exhaust. Look at that. I love how this sounds. Way better than a certain Walmart catback exhaust for a W212. Another hot day here at Modern Masters. That's why you guys are hearing this giant fan ripping. And listen, if you do HVAC, hit me up, because I need to know if I can get for this side of the shop, if I can get a mini split or something to air condition this side so it's easier to work and I'm not sitting here dying on thumbs. I have a lung disease, hard to breathe in the heat and humidity. So if you can help me out, please, 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 please send me an email, craig@moderntow.net. All right, guys, now that Rusty has the 507 in the air, we are going to start by unhooking the shifter lever back there so we can put it in neutral, start taking off all these brackets, and pop this transmission out of there.
And now that would just slide off of there, I can put it in neutral and spin the drive shaft to get all these bolts out of here. These are all T60s, and I can start taking the transmission out. I went ahead and disconnected the cooler line to go on either side of the transmission. And now all we need to do is line up the wet clutch bolts through that little peephole there, unbolt that, rotate the engine, and then we can undo the drive shaft like I talked about earlier. Okay, we have our 2 wet clutch bolts lined up here. They are T55s. They come out fairly easily. And you just keep working your way around as you turn the crank to get the next set to line up. All right, these are the last 2. And as you can see, if I reach in here, the wet clutch is now free from flywheel. Now all we need to do is unbolt the drive shaft and the bell housing bolts, and we can take this transmission out of here. All right, guys, so we're going to remove the drive shaft now. I found it much easier if I just remove this entire mount bracket here. So I'm gonna go ahead and support the transmission so that once I remove that, the transmission doesn't fall. And now I can start unbolting these brackets. And now we just have these 2 16mm bolts that hold the mount onto the back of the transmission. And what removing that does is gives me a perfect angle to get my wrench on the back of the nut. Whereas before, I had to snake it up through here. It's just impossible to get that wrench up there to hold that nut. Let's pop this drive shaft off here. Okay, so this just slides back and it'll stay out of the way. Once we get the bell housing bolts undone, we're gonna lower this transmission. And to get the engine to tilt back a little bit, I have to remove the bolts for the exhaust. And that should allow our transmission to tilt backwards so I can get to those top bolts. All right, now we can, with some extensions, start taking these bell housing bolts out of here.
That thing has gotten red, some sun since I've been going. Look at that. What happened to your big, why don't you use your big,
it won't fit.
Really?
Since Anthony just refuses to put long tubes on his car,
yeah,
it makes it a lot harder on me.
Wow. So we got to upcharge Anthony just because he won't go with some power. You know what would make this car really nice? Headers, blower, tune. But some people want their car to be worth money when they're 900 years old. And then you got guys like me and Alex, and our shit is worth a ton of money because it's awesome. Right? We don't, Alex's car is rare, just like this one, not as rare as this one, but rare. But still, because it's, a legit street car, it's awesome. My car is a legit street car because they both were built on legit street cars. This one could also be built on, legit street cars or MODERNMASTERSAUTO YouTube, but I guess we'll just have to keep replacing stock parts of this character.
I wish it had long tubes right now.
You need to hurry up. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. Well, guys, this is getting boring. But in other news, I want to thank everybody. I'm back part-time this week, so I just want to thank everybody for letting me have some time off and enjoy my newly born son. And I also got to spend a lot of time with my daughter, a lot of one-on-one time because I had to keep her away from our newly born son because she's an animal and she tries to play with him. She's 19 months old and she tries to play with him like it's her baby doll. So I got to, spend a lot of time with her, keep her away from him to be safe. So I really appreciate everybody who's kind of, gave me a break from all the messages and stuff, especially Nick and Aaron. You guys did a wonderful job of not messaging me almost every day that I was out. So yeah. And then, oh, hey, I know you're out, but sorry, I'll leave you be. Then another paragraph the next day. But yeah, guys, just keep filling your cars up with gas and driving them. But thank you everybody else, literally everybody else. It was really good to have some family quality time at home and at the hospital, but let's get back to work.
All right, we are on the last bell housing bolt. All right, let's try and get this guy free from the engine. All right, looks like we're pretty good. All right, easy enough. There it is, and here is the wet clutch. We still cutting this thing apart?
I'm cutting it apart. All right, Rusty's gonna wheel the trans out because it is time for it to go under the knife by yours truly. You got that thing?
Well, if we had a flat floor, it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, we are working with what we got. The floor does look nicer, although it is not flat. All right, guys, I'm gonna remove the wet clutch ever so gently. Ooh, it stinks, man. Not only does it smell like nasty blue fluid, I just hate that smell. It smells burnt. And there's only one thing to do now, is to get inside this thing so we can see where it failed. I've never done this before, nor have I seen anyone ever cut one of these open, but with this awesome Milwaukee tool, we're gonna get to the bottom of this, or the inside rather. We have some motor building going on over here, so Rusty's gonna cover them up. And I need some eye protection. All right, guys, you cannot do an activity like this without the correct eye protection. These are ballistic. These also change your mood. It makes you feel kind of uptight, feel like you deserve everything, like entitlement. And you know what? I don't even have to be here today. You know, I just don't even have to be here. These glasses make me feel like I should just, you know, that I should want to go home the whole time and drink Coors Light, cheat on my spouse. But, you know, I'm gonna ignore the urges these glasses make me feel, and I'm gonna get back to work. And for those just tuning in, that's me making fun of someone who used to be here, not really work here, but be here. Rusty, you're gonna have to come hold it. Yep, you're gonna have to come hold the other side. I just gotta cut away the weld around the whole thing. It's gonna want to move around. All right, let's see if we nicked it. Tilt it up without, it's hot. It's hot over there. Let's tilt it up. We're not even through the base layer yet. I thought I was really getting some. I think we're close. I'm gonna keep going till I puncture a hole in it. I mean, I'm cutting in there pretty deep. All right, guys, and remember, we are cutting this open because the warranty company wants to see what failed. Just kidding. I'm cutting it open because I want to see what's inside this thing and see what failed and see how it actually works. What the hell is a wet clutch anyway? You know, wet startup clutch. We were hoping that once I get all this cut, that the last cut isn't some like spring tension and this thing shoot up. So pray for us. You saw it move. Mm-hmm. Whew. All right, guys, we let it cool down for a second, and I grabbed some paper towels so I can do this. Actually, Rusty, I think you need to hold the camera. Like I'm gonna let you do that after I cut it for an hour. Rusty just thought I was gonna let him unveil this.
That means you can.
This was my idea. I cut it for an hour. He can hold the camera, okay?
Good thing I have the gloves on.
Good thing he has the gloves
to hold the
on.
camera.
All right, guys. Let's move it.
Oh man, no wonder it failed.
I could totally rebuild this.
Look at all that metal in there.
Hey, we can rebuild this, and then we can use Anthony's new one for someone else. Shh, Anthony, don't tell Anthony that.
Yeah, something definitely came apart in there.
I'm telling you, dude. Look, there's all this metal shavings right here. Or you get to see it first. That looks rather clutch-like. That looks like this must be the pressure plate, and look at this. That looks familiar also. This looks like a Sun gear.
Yeah, it's just a giant clutch pack.
I guess it does look like a, like a twin disc clutch, just covered in fluid.
It's a giant automatic transmission clutch pack.
Just like inside of a transmission, there's clutches, metals, and that's what these are. You can see the different bands.
Yes, it's a big snap ring right there.
Snap ring right there, yeah. You want to grab some snap ring pliers?
Oh no, I gotta hold the camera.
You can set the camera down and go get snap ring pliers.
Oh, okay.
I'll do my job. Now, I don't think this was for me grinding.
It's definitely for you grinding.
Oh, okay.
Get right there behind it. Right there.
That's
Oh, yeah. Now watch, there might be some tension on this. So be careful. There we go.
Nice.
Oh, there you go, that's a good maneuver. Damn. That was clutch.
That was good. That was good. All right, guys. So this is the metal, and this right here, backside metal, front side clutch.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's look at all of them.
2 in 1. Dinner ain't a show.
Nice. Oh man, that's sharp. All this metal fragments. It's very sharp. Someone should wear gloves.
The camera guy. Camera guy wears gloves.
Hey, but you're the only one that like has that dumb insurance if you get hurt. I don't know. I go to the VA for free, so well, it wasn't free. I fought for it, but you know what I mean. You can see the heat marks and wear. Let's keep going. Maybe there's a one that's just really messed up.
Well, it had a noise, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if
it could be like the center thing,
or my springs are breaking or something.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna tear this whole thing apart.
We're going to cut those apart
just to be safe.
Yeah.
I tell you, film, they feel really grippy.
Really?
Oh my god! Like, I feel like if I rub my hand on here too much, it's gonna rip my fingers apart.
Oh, I'd feel them, but I wouldn't be able to tell with these gloves on.
Just keep those gloves on. Do 2 things for me today. Keep those gloves on and shut your mouth. Shut up. Shut up. Maybe I can help you with this pan dilemma. Look at that. I don't think that's just supposed to be willy-nilly floating in there. Ooh, look at that wear. That's it, buddy. At no point is that supposed to... Ah, God. Yeah, that is...
There she was.
That's it. That's it. Look at this. This thing was just chilling in here. Goes like this.
I bet you that makes a noise when it comes loose.
I don't even think... Yeah, look. Look at the wear marks on this thing. It's not supposed to be like that. And this is totally rebuildable. This whole thing, what we cut is just a housing. We could plane this, put all new clutches in here, fix this mechanism, put new bearings in, replace this sprag gear that's bent. Probably the housing too, because where it sits is messed up. But essentially, if you plane this and put all new pieces in here, put them back together, weld it, pop this balancer off, rebalance it, put on a new weight to make it balanced, and then that's it. So I guess how the wet clutch works is when it hits torque, it compresses this, pushes down on the plates, the clutches grab, and that's what spins the transmission. I think it's time to put in the new one. All right, guys, now that we're done playing with this old one and cutting it up, seeing how it works, it's time to clean up the inside of the bell housing, and we'll lubricate the seal. We'll clean up this nastiness. Anthony was missing this piece on the transmission, the cover, so he ordered a new one. It pops in from underneath. We'll put it in last. There is the part number, A000-998-3121. And that's probably good for all 5-speed and 7-speed transmissions. And then I'll get him the dielectric grease, the seal, lubricate this snap ring a little bit, the nose snap ring, just so everything goes in all kosher-like. All right, guys, when lubricating the transmission seal, and I would lubricate both these snap rings just to help the new torque converter slip in there. Premium dielectric grease by CRC Marine. This is good against salt and all kinds of stuff. Protects, insulates, and waterproofs. And then it also grasa para electron de imbrosios, in case you were wondering. This new unit is remanufactured, so it was cut open like I had talked about and redone up. Just want to line it up so you hear that sound.
And then the second sound.
Boom. There it is. So like Rusty said, 2 sounds, click, and then a click, and then you know it's seated and the whole way back. The torque converters do the same thing, right?
3.
3 for the torque converters. Yeah, so 2 for the wet clutch, 3 for the torque converter. And do you want to do anything else before putting the trans back in?
Let me get a good look at his rear main seal and all that kind of stuff.
Let's take a look. Bone dry rear main seal. Little damp here, where the lower pan's leaking a little bit, which is common on these. If he had headers, he wouldn't have that problem.
It's damp up here too, a little bit.
On the front pan?
Like on the upper front pan.
Yeah. Well, it's been done before, actually. This whole thing's been resealed by Mercedes, so there you go. Definitely needs, they didn't use the right stuff, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it probably needs resealed again. Just look at the oil. It's being blown back collecting right here, but it's not in the bell housing. It is dry. So the rear main's dry. How is our trans connector looking? Is something else I like to look at. Looking good. I'd put a little dielectric grease on that seal, Rusty. But other than that, kosher to me. All right, just wipe this off and then throw some dielectric grease on that seal and pop that trans back in there, cowboy. All right, guys, before we put the transmission in, I want to bring you to Jordan's Deli. This is where me and Rusty like to eat lunch as often as we can because it is amazing. The sandwiches here are great, but you'll want to check out Jordan's Deli here in Falling Waters, West Virginia. He supports autism, so am I, so let's go inside and check them out. All right, guys, this is their amazing menu. Look at all these awesome things they have here. Now, if you're like me and you don't like to read, they have wonderful pictures to choose from. And then for Rusty and others, you can read all the words here in the middle that describe their amazing sandwiches. And look who it is. The man, the myth, the legend, guys. This is Bob Parks, the owner of Jordan's Deli. Hello, this is Jordan. That's his lovely daughter. The restaurant is named after her. All right. How are you doing today?
I was doing great.
Oh, he was doing great. You'll definitely want to check out their smothered hen. That thing is delicious. I had it last week. It is very good. And you'll be able to check them out in articles such as from the Journal, the Bird's Eye View, Around the Panhandle, and just amazing things this restaurant has done for our local community. And they have cool t-shirts and gear if you want any of that. They do catering, all kinds of good stuff. They shout out local businesses like I do at the shop. They have awesome sides, chips, wonderful beverages. All right, he kicked me out of the kitchen. We're not allowed to show the kitchen today. Apparently I don't have the food and rights to be back there, or the gloves or the headgear, so I'm out. When you come in, you can leave your tips here, or you can grab a gift card and share the love with others. So there's plenty of room to dine in, and don't forget they offer catering as well. So you'll just come in and you'll be greeted by one of his lovely employees here, and they'll get you taken care of. And while you wait, you can enjoy this lovely waiting area as seen here. And they have amazing sides like these onion rings with a really good dipping sauce. All right, guys, look at our delicious lunch waiting for us. We have the Senator, the salad, the onion rings, the French fries with brown gravy, the pastrami Reuben, and my favorite, the Havana. Be sure to check them out, jordansdeli.com. And if you can, leave them a great review if you liked watching this video, because reviews count. And let's get back to the shop and get that transmission in that C63. All right, thanks, Bob. Thanks for lunch. Thank you, guys. That's how I leave every time.
Okay, going back up with the transmission and new wet clutch. Okay, so I went ahead and got a floor jack and jacked up the front of the engine just a little bit to help tow it back, and made it much easier for this transmission to line back up, because this is as high as this jack goes, and I didn't feel like lowering the car down or any of that stuff. So looks like it's lined up pretty good, and we just gotta get it back on the dowels and bolt her back up. All right, guys, and before you tighten up any bell housing bolts, you always want to make sure that that bell housing and engine are completely flush together. I just have these two bolts on the other side. This finger tighten here to hold it in place for me. There's no tension in there at all, but that seam is completely butted up flush. You do not want to force a transmission in ever, or you risk cracking the pump inside of there. So now that's nice and flush. I'll go ahead and impact those down. All right, another thing you want to double check before you start tightening down your transmission is you want to make sure either your torque converter or wet clutch, whatever you have, moves freely in here and isn't bound up, because that would mean that the torque converter is not seated correctly into the transmission. You could risk damaging the oil pump or the torque converter or the engine if this is not seated the entire way. Go ahead and tighten these up. All right, now we can go ahead and reinstall this mount and bracket. Okay, now that we have the transmission jack out of the way, we can reinstall our bolts that hold the wet clutch to the flywheel. So what I like to do is I like to get the first one just started, and I don't tighten any of them until I have them all in there, and that way it doesn't risk me getting like offline and I can't get a bolt in. All right, so we have those in there most of the way, and now we just turn the crank until we get to the next pair. Now we can go ahead and tighten all these up. All tightened up, and now we can put Anthony's little plug in here. That'll make him happy. And I'll go ahead and clean all this up. Okay, so transmission is finished. I am leaving the exhaust loose because I'm about to change the oil temp sensor, which is behind this AC compressor here. So it's going to help me jack the engine up and make things a lot easier as long as I leave that exhaust loose. And while it's in the air, I'm going to go ahead and loosen the clips for this fan here, which I need to put the camera down for. And that will save me a trip from putting the car up and down 100 times. So unplug the cooling fan here, and that fan is ready to come out as long as I get that brace off the top. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and evacuate our AC system. And while that is evacuating, I'm going to remove the cooling fan. All right, and while that's still evacuating our air conditioning, we will go ahead and remove our serpentine belt. So we're one step closer to getting this compressor out of the way. I'm just gonna fold it out of the way, just like that, because I only have to remove just the AC compressor on the bottom there. Okay, air conditioning is recovered, fan is out, belt is off. Let's get it back up in the air. Okay, I do have to remove this one oil cooler hose, so we are gonna lose just a little bit of oil, and then I can unbolt the AC compressor. All right, compressor is unplugged. Back bolt's always pretty annoying to get out, but I just use a wobbly extension and get up in there. And then this front bolt is actually just going to stay in the compressor just loose because it won't come out of there unless you drop the subframe in. I'm not doing that today.
And we need to prop it up so it's out of the way. So I'm just gonna grab whatever's close by. Oh, here's this M156 piston that we just pulled out of a customer's engine. You can see where it's all messed up. Shop did the timing wrong and it kissed a valve. I don't know how the hell they messed it up, but we pulled it out. Still looks pretty cool. Nice little thing here, but we'll use it to space this AC compressor out of the way. Propped up there. That is how you do it. So if you need to replace this oil temperature sensor, what have you, M156 piston at the right angle works perfectly. All right, see that yellow connector right there? And that is how you know the difference, because the connector on the AC is black, but they are identical. And I've seen technicians, not saying any names, switch these around. So
I don't want to hear anything. That guy's oil was ice cold.
I wasn't saying any names, man. I wasn't saying any names. It also was like 7 years ago when the M156 first came out. So actually the M156 came out a long time ago. 7 years ago is when we started working on them. Got
a 19mm wrench. See if we can bust it loose with that. I tried using a socket up there, but it wouldn't fit. I think there's a washer up there I'm going to try to get off too.
Look at that Ceratec.
So make sure you replace this as well. I have a bag of new ones here somewhere. I'll go grab one since Mercedes did not supply one. All right, new washer, new sensor. And the reason that we're replacing this is he was driving along and intermittently the oil temps would shoot up to close to 200 degrees. And everything is working, the oil cooler fan's working, there's nothing clogged, fins are in great shape for the condensers and the coolers, and so the only thing it could really be is this sensor is just messing up once it gets hot, because 90% of the time it would read perfectly and then just randomly it would show some crazy high number. But these do go bad all the time, whether it's a reason like this or oil just starts leaking out of the plastic part through the connector, and these end up leaking all the time and need to be replaced. All right, new sensor is installed, cleaned off the oily mess we made. Make sure you hear that snap whenever that connector plugs back in. Make sure we clip the harness secured back here. And now all we have to do is remove our piston and get these bolts back in here. And just remember, you will not be able to get this front bolt in once the compressor is behind the subframe. So we gotta slide that in there now and then push it back and start tightening everything up. All right, just gotta tighten these up. This one here I like to use just a 10mm ratchet wrench, and it grabs that nice and easily. And I would be using my little electric ratchet for this, but I got rear-ended the other day driving home and I left my tools in my trunk. So I have to go grab them later. But I'm okay, if anyone's wondering. Just out of the vehicle. Make sure we plug this guy in. Get our oil cooler tube back in here. All right, now the compressor's back in there. We safely removed our piston out of the way. I ended up not having to jack the engine up to get the compressor out of the way. I actually didn't even really need to recover the refrigerant, but I didn't think it was gonna be so easy this time with the engine in the car. I'll go ahead and get this exhaust hooked back up, these O2 sensors plugged back in, and we'll get the car back down and put the fan in there and top off all its fluids. All right, so we're actually going to be replacing the belt and a few pulleys while this is apart. So I'll go ahead and take off my old belt and switch some pulleys out real quick. Okay, we can just pop off this protective cover. And this one idler has a spacer in the back of it. Do not lose this. They do not exist. You cannot buy them. Don't even think about it. Just make sure you don't lose it. That holds it on there just like that. Pop the cover off of our other one. All right, now we just pop our dust covers back on and install our new belt. All right, now for the fan. I have our AC machine putting the system under vacuum while I reinstall the radiator support. All right, guys, everything is back together. Have our cooling fan in and plugged in. I'll spray this off a little bit better before we put the shields on there from that oil dripping on there. We just need to fill our trans to accommodate for the fluid that we lost, taking that wet clutch out of there. So I have 2.5 liters of trans fluid to start. I'm gonna go ahead and pump that in there. We will verify the fluid level once we get the engine warmed up and the transmission fluid is up to temperature. And then I'm going to, when we put the vehicle down, top it off with engine oil and charge the air conditioning at the same time. So let's go ahead and pump in our trans fluid. We have LIQUIMOLY 1900. And what I like to do is I like to keep this adapter on the transmission. It keeps me from losing fluid, and then once we have the engine running, all you have to do is unclip this and the excess fluid will drip out of there. All right, guys, while the AC is charging, we're gonna go ahead and top it off with the good stuff, LIQUIMOLY. I'd say I lost about half a quart or so we'll start with that and then check everything once I get the engine started up. I don't want to overfill anything. It's a lot easier to add more than it is to take out.
It sucks. You only get that like 10 seconds of awesome cold start sound. Yeah. And then it's like, see ya, I'm fully warmed up now.
Yeah. You let this run for 10 minutes and start back, it goes, Mah.
Yeah. All right, she's all air conditioned up. Cap's back on there.
We also need to reset the adaptations for the wet clutch.
Yeah, the wet startup clutch. Look at this awesome license plate. If you unfortunately have screws in your bumper from one of these, and you want it at least to look better, get it paint matched, Anthony can hook you up. So shoot us an email and we'll get you a paint match license plate holder. All right guys, inside there before, you could hear a crazy loud falling apart noise. Internal rotation. Junk sounding noise. Now it's stone quiet down here. Yeah, as it gets warmed up, just night and day difference under here. You hear from the sound clip before just how loud it was, and now you can actually hear yourself think under here. Way better.
Good.
It's a lot of fluid coming out.
Yeah.
How much did you pump in?
Like 2.5.
Oh wow.
I figured with the cooler lines and everything,
Yeah.
I didn't want to, but
3 years later. Oh, there we go. She's puttering out.
as soon as I walk away, every time.
She's sputtering out. And that is the appropriate way to do these transmissions. There is no other way to do them. Don't be the guy squirting the LIQUIMOLY jugs up in the thing. Use the pump. Beautiful.
All right, so anytime you replace a wet clutch or any kind of internal transmission component, you do have to reset the adaptations for transmission control module. We reset the adaptations for shifting every time we do a service, and especially when we do a wet clutch, there's a separate adaptation that you need to do. So we'll go through here, transmission control unit. We'll go to special function, teach-in processes, adaptation of wet startup clutch. So we'll go here. Is there a complaint about shift quality? No. Was one of the following components replaced? Wet clutch? Yes. All right, so I need to get in the vehicle to do a few things. All right, so it wants us to check the fluid temperature, which is in range. And if you can see, I'm not sure if you can, it's flashing through all the different modes through here and adapting everything and clearing all the data it had before. Okay, so next we're going to start the engine and turn off all the air conditioning, radio, all the loads. Steering wheel straight. So right now I have my foot on the brake and I can feel that wet clutch pulsing, and it is teaching in the engagement point of that wet clutch. Alright, turn the ignition off. Ignition on. Alright, we are all set. So here Anthony is good to go.
All right, guys, that wraps it up on today's episode with the Edition 507 C63. We got that new wet clutch in there. We got to cut open the old one and see what it's made of. And then Rusty took care of some other warranty company and maintenance things for Anthony in his beautiful matte white 1-of-1 Edition 507 C63. So, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up.
Share with your friends.
And subscribe. But most importantly, leave a comment about my bald best friend Eugene in the comments. It's the one-off matte white 507 edition. Edition 507. Anthony's gonna kill me for saying that. Oh man, nice. Nice. I think this has been recording the whole time. Peter, when we're recording, you cannot come in here. You know, wait till I tell Craig about how you're underperforming.
I'm not supposed to be here today.
Lisa! Get nice and clean. Ooh. Should go tanning this weekend.
I don't think so.
All right, let me see. Testing, testing. Friend Eugene in the comments. And is the bolt thing coming on too hard?
I mean, considering that Carter's picking up on it, I'd say you're saying a little too much.
Yeah, Carter is calling me bald all the time.
He's like, Daddy, there's the Bosnia bald spot. It's real.
That was funny at T-Bone.
Oh, yeah.
But you were tying his shoes.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the shop and get that transmission in that C63.
Share with your friends. Testing, testing.
Testing. Rusty. And they have a nice, lovely waiting area here for pickup. So you, come on, you. All right.
Just set it.
I want you to try it.
Probably too hot. That's the best part of waking up at 4 p.m.
Damn it. Killed it again.
What'd you do, put 4 packs of sugar in it?
Oh, I don't know, but it's delicious.
What, in that? Like 5.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
God. Oh.
that's like, there's none in mine, right?
Just rain it down on me. Rain it down on me. It's so good.
That was recording, by the way.
Oh, good.
And these end up leaking all the
Yellow.
time and need to be replaced.
Hey, is there any way that you could come up here and...
Do you think they have another one in stock?
No, it would have to be ordered.
Oh,
I know for a fact it could have to be ordered.
yeah, Rusty set the new one. Oh, I said, pull the LIQUIMOLY table out and put the wet clutch on it because I'm about to cut it open. He said he didn't hear that part. He said he thought pull LIQUIMOLY table out, put the new wet clutch on it because we're about to put it in.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the grinder and I started cutting it and everything. And he comes out and he just sits there and holds it for me. And we cut the whole thing. And
it looks brand new inside.
yeah, and there was like no real fluid or wear. And I'm like, what the f? This thing is mint. And yeah, so I accidentally cut open your new one.
Well, that sucks. Oh man. I guess we can put that in the video. We can do a comparison between what a new one is supposed to look like and an old one.
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's what Rusty said.
I guess you know just for you know.
So you still want me to open the old one then?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just gonna throw your car back together for now and let you drive it, but if you want to wait to.
Yeah, I'll wait. I don't need it right away.
Okay. Yeah, dude, I'm sorry. Like that was a mix-up between me and Rusty, and.
Dude, not a problem. I'm totally okay.
Okay,
So,
all right, good.
I'm thinking worst case scenario, like, you know, the car fell off the lift or, you know, something happened or, yeah.
Oh, well, if that happened, you wouldn't be hearing from me, you'd be hearing from my insurance company.
No, dude, totally fine. You know, hey, you know, things happen, so, but.
I'm just messing with you. We just recorded all this.
Serious?
I'm just messing with you.
Wow, man, I really should have been in. Yeah, you're just.
I'm just with you. Yeah, we could have been the right one. We found out what was wrong with it.
What was wrong with it?
Just like retaining spacer ring in the bottom
Yeah.
was wore out, metal on metal, and it's all bowed and disformed, and it was rubbing against the plate that keeps the clutches together.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, but it's all in the video.
Wow.
Yeah, all right. Well, I just wanted to include you in this and kind of mess with you a little bit.
Hey, you know, that's okay.
I know you
So-
get bored being a product specialist, so.
I know, right?
All right, man. I'll talk to you later. But everything's going good. Your car's going back together.